Um, and so I wanted to start with, I read this um Instagram tile. There was an Instagram tile I read this morning, and it was some some version of like, I feel like I owe myself an apology for all that time I spent stuck in a situation where I was ignored, or made to be the villain, or given just meager, just enough to keep me going, like less than I deserve, but in, you know, enough that I needed to keep going. Um, in a situation that played to my worst instincts, I stayed there just because of my history. I mean, obviously, I just paraphrased the hell out of that, but it really got me. Like, it really hit me. Like, I feel like I owe myself an apology for participating in the environment that trained me to think I deserve less than I do, simply because of my own history. I just thought that is a mind fuck of a Mobius strip loop. So I read that like yesterday, and then this morning I had to sub for somebody at the last minute. Kelly always knows she can call me to sub the 6:30 Monday morning. Um, and No, I was going to say anybody could sub the 6:30 Monday morning. What are any of us ever doing? But honestly, the ability to sub the 6:30 Monday morning is contingent upon what you're doing Sunday night. So I'm always lame on Sunday nights. Hi, Zachy. Hi, V. Um, so there was somebody with an injury in class today, and the way they were talking about themselves in that injury, the hip, was like so hostile and with so little compassion. It really kind of, it was hard to actually be around. I was like, don't judge, just listen. But like, there was no compassion, no context, no benefit of the doubt given to, like, the lifestyle or anything. Just like, I hate this hit. Like, okay, all right. Um, and so I didn't launch into this with this person, but I want you to think about your bad hip, or your bad shoulder, or your bad wrist, or whatever. And then I want you to think about, and from practicing with me and hopefully from other places as well, that where it shows up is not necessarily where the problem is. That's just where it shows up. Think about your bad hip, and then think about the worst thing you've ever said or done. The most like inexcusable, incomprehensible. You look back at it and you're like, wow, whoo, how? Like that thing. And like, neither one of those things occurred when everything was going great, when everything and everyone was getting the space they needed, the attention they needed, when the owner's manual had been fully read, right? Not even fucking close. So, allowing yourself to have compassion. This hip is not a bad hip. It was handed an enormous task, and there were like just it, and it wasn't given enough resources or the proper resources, I should say, to complete the task. And eventually, over time, it reacted, right? And the same is true of you. And that thing that you said or you did, it didn't come from nowhere. like 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 you were treated, your needs were not met, either by the world around you or by you, right, under your own steerage. Your needs were not being met. You were ignoring yourself. You were trained to continue ignoring yourself because that's where the rewards seem to come from. And eventually you fucking snapped and you said or did that inexplicable thing. I just want you to be able to hold compassion for that, because I have there is something that happened in me lately that allows me to really let myself off the hook. I mean, I still wear my I still wear my mistakes, don't worry. But I've been able to pivot around them and sort of reframe and be like, when the circumstances are goading you into being your worst self, Like, yeah, they won. At some point it worked and you became your worst self for a split second, you know? And like, okay. But if you can see the context around it, rather than just this is where the pain showed up, so this must be the problem, I must be the problem. Maybe not. Maybe you in that moment was not the problem. Maybe you had been ignoring your own needs and participating in feeding yourself the bare fucking minimum to keep you sort of like you've got enough that you don't feel like you deserve more, but you kind of know you need more. So you're asking all the time. And I don't, that sort of got away from me a little bit, but I think you know what I'm saying. Like, you don't have a bad hip and you weren't a bad person. And if you can view those things with compassion, I promise you, the self-forgiveness comes and going forward gets a lot easier. So, um, we're going to